Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Cladicast episode 48. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm John Cage.
And I'm Andy Lewis.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We've had a couple of weeks off this podcast is lark, and every time we have a couple of weeks off, we end up with this stupidly long list of things we need to talk about. And
it feels like it's been about 2 or 3 months since we last podcasted.
It genuinely does, my God.
It's been more like 3 weeks.
A lot's happened. I've bought a house.
Well, yeah.
Huzzah!
Well, I say I've bought a house. Alora's the money on this one.
You and your better lady. Yeah.
Yes. My better lady as opposed to the worst lady I have as well.
Does that mean you've got to pack all the board games away?
It does, yeah. We were actually discussing about how to do that over the weekend. Apparently there are many ways to do it, but I've come across the best way, or rather I've invented the best way of doing it, and that is rob a massive roll of bubble wrap from work, because we get like drums of the shit, and just borrow stroke steal that, wrap them all up and use a shitload of tape. Job done.
Also from work, no doubt.
No, actually, Alora somehow, I'm not going to ask how she's acquired this, but she's got like one of those massive, great, almost sort of industrial rolls of cellophane, almost like sort of super duper turbo cling film that you use to wrap pallets in. So I think a combination of those two, and my games will be invincible.
Nice. That's if you can tear yourself away from deep madness long enough to actually pack something.
I don't think that's going to be possible.
I don't get that impression.
Having moved house twice in the last 18 months, the actual packing the boxes and protecting the games is not the issue. The issue is the transporting them like in between different places means they get shook up, turned upside down, tipped on their side. And what happens is you open a box after 2 years and you go open it and go, oh my God, everything's just everywhere. What the hell's going on?
That's why you put everything in baggies.
Well, I've been foolish, haven't I? I've trusted
Yes.
the inserts.
Oh, God.
I shouldn't have.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yes. Oh, God. Speaking of trusting the insert, there is one insert in a game that you and I both own, Steve, that has a reputation, shall we say, for looking lovely. But in terms of actual practicality and holding the shit in the right place, it scores about -4 out of 10.
Would this be Lords of Waterdeep, perchance?
Exactly. Give the man a coconut. Even just putting it on its side for the shelf, and everything just flops right out.
As you tilt it, do you get to a point where you're like, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay? God damn it.
Yes.
Click, 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 click.
Pretty much, yes. Everything just drops out.
I did find a solution which helped, which was I had the sponge you used to get in the Games Workshop miniature blisters.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I'd had a load of them, and so what it is, I put several of them on top of the board inside the box. Which gives it a little bit of springiness, and then got those like cross elastic bands.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, because I use them all the time at work because we've got legal files, so you have to stick all the folders in them. So I brought one of them home and just stuck one of these round it and then give it a damn good shake to see if it would work. And it worked brilliantly because the sponge squashes everything down and holds it in place.
I think what I might do is just take the more practical approach and just bin the shitty insert and put everything in baggies.
Yeah, that would probably do it.
That's one possibility, especially if you get the expansion as well, because the expansion box is exactly the same size as the
if I get
original
the expansion.
box.
If.
Yeah.
Besides, you already know I've got the expansion.
No, I didn't know that, actually.
I mean, it is fairly inevitable, but we do sometimes give you the benefit of the doubt.
Inevitable.
It's what?
It's inevitable.
Inedible.
Inedible, I'll do,
That
yeah.
too.
Speaking of expansions, I've just backed 2 more on Facebook.
Oh my God.
On Kickstarter.
How are you able to afford moving house?
When you say just
Oh,
backed, you mean between the time we spoke over Facebook chat this afternoon and now you've backed 2 expansions?
Yes. Well, 1 actually, but yes.
Go on, what have you backed?
Just the expansion for Rise to Nobility, which is I don't actually think it needs it, but we'll find out. But I currently have also the expansion to Planetarium backed, that recently finished funding, and I have backed the
Planetarium one. Can you back the original game as well?
Yes, I think so. although it has just
Interesting.
ended.
Bollocks.
It ended like 2 days ago.
I should imagine you'd be able to late pledge on that, wouldn't you?
You might be able to, yeah. I haven't checked, but you probably can. But there's also Everdell, which is the expansion to Pearlbrook.
Oh, I thought it was the other way around.
Yes.
I didn't realise you had. I didn't realise you had Everdell.
I don't.
So when you say you've backed the expansion, you've just backed the game, the
Maybe.
reprint with the expansion.
Maybe,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
And at the end of this month, October, apparently, I heard it on good authority, that there will be another expansion for Deep Madness and a reprint.
Which presumably you've already bought as well.
It's not out yet.
That doesn't normally stop you.
No, the Kickstarter hasn't started for that expansion yet. But there will be a reprint, apparently, for Deep Madness at the end of October, apparently. Because, the 5 boxes and 5 epic monsters I've recently received. No, that's just not enough.
Clearly. I know I'm relieved for you that it's a good game, or at least that's the impression I get, albeit very difficult. But I still question whether you can realistically make use of all of those expansions.
Well, we shall talk about that at some point in the future, be it tonight or in the next cast, depending on how the juice flows.
We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks when your house sale falls through because you spent the entire time playing Deep Madness.
It's really good.
Speaking of things that we've backed, that could lead sneakily straight into the news. We were talking about Kickstarters, and there is a Kickstarter that is now live, funded, and backed by all 3 of the PHC.
Huh?
Huh?
Or maybe the notes are wrong from whoever wrote that bit. Maybe it's not all 3. Maybe it was just me that backed Hero Master then.
Just you, mate.
Just you, yeah.
There we go then. I backed a game.
Hey!
Hey!
Yeah, it looks good. I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah, so we talked about that on the last... Was that the last podcast we talked about that? Or was it one before?
I think it was,
I think
the,
it
last
was the last
one.
one.
Yeah, it's been so long, I can't remember. I think it was the last one. But yeah, I no, not for me, that one.
Yes, I think we established that over several rants.
Yes.
All right, moving swiftly on from that. Although, if anyone else is also into kind of take that adventure-y, dungeon crawly kind of games, I would say check it out. And if not, we'll move swiftly on. So there's some board game conventions that are coming up. We have Airecon. Tickets are going on sale. In fact, they're available right now, but they're on sale for the 8th to the 10th of March 2019 is when it's going to run.
Boom.
And I think it's fair to say all 3 of us very much enjoyed the last one.
We did indeed. And the one before that.
3?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 3 we've done now, isn't it?
Yeah, I might not be able to go this year.
No
Which is a bit
dedication.
annoying.
Well, John and I will be there anyway, and that's the important ones.
Shh, don't let Steve hear you. He'll get grumpy.
I know. He'll sack
He might
us.
kick us out.
Can I trust you with the Polyhedron Collider brand is the question.
You already know the answer to that, Steve. Absolutely
Trust
not.
is a strong word.
Yes.
We'll find a way out of the cage, and we'll attend. And Steve need never know.
Indeed, it'll be fine. Just you wait. We will come back heroes. Heroes, I tell you.
Something like that. So yes, so other conventions that are going on. There's also City of Games has been announced, and that'll be the 15th to the 17th of February. So that's the first few months of the year, looking very rosy. And tickets on sale for that one from November the 1st. So again,
Excellent.
another one that I think we're all pretty fond of. The UK board game
Yeah.
convention, can't go wrong with that. And it's in
down
Bristol.
Bristol, yes. And I think Frank told me last time, or very shortly after the last one, that they are planning on basically running it on 2 floors now, rather than just the one they had last time. or moving the bar or something, because that was fun. Getting an elevator, the world's slowest elevator, between the bar on the ground floor and the convention on the top floor.
6 floors away.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. And so I just got to the point where I ordered 2 pints every time I went to the bar, and literally by the time I got back to the convention, I'd had at least half of one of them.
Which probably tells you a lot about Andy's drinking habits.
Indeed. I'm a thirsty man.
Randomly, I bumped into Frank in Bristol. Didn't know he was going to be there. I was just there to pick up this lovely chair that all you listeners can't see, but trust me, is a lot more comfortable.
Well, that's behind your head.
And more importantly, it's a lot less noisy.
I thought you'd grown a wing, like on a car.
No, it's
It's a spoiler.
It is. John's comes with a spoiler now.
it's a massive headrest.
Gives himself some downforce on the corners.
Exactly. Do you come with stripes and some underlighting as well?
I've got behind the monitor lighting. Click.
There you go,
he
you
has
see?
as well. Oh my God.
Good Lord. John now goes from 0 to 60 in 7.4 seconds.
It's more
Driving
like
past going,
yeah, pretty much.
You feel him coming before you see him.
So the dodgy link there was that I was picking this chair up when I met Frank, and he was like, "John." I was like, "Oh, Frank, I did not expect to see you here." And then I suddenly remembered about 15 minutes of conversation later that I was supposed to be going and getting the car, and Kaz was waiting for me. Whoops.
Good effort.
Okay, so that was conventions. Back to some more games. There is Monolith Arena, which is essentially Neuroshima Hex 2, which I am quite excited about because I was a huge, huge fan of the first game.
It is good.
And this looks very good too.
It does. Now, we don't know much about the gameplay, I don't think, at this moment, but it does look a lot like Neuroshima Hex.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's a kind of an evolution of what Neuroshima Hex was based on. I think Neuroshima Hex was on its 3rd edition by the end of it, so this is effectively the 4th edition, I think. But it's taking the setting into kind of a fancy setting, so you can have knights and dragons and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, I probably won't get it. Not because I don't want to, because Alora hated Neuroshima Hex.
Oh.
And now, well, she doesn't like sort of aggressive, fighty, always under attack games. She finds them quite stressful.
Right, okay.
So, whilst Neuroshima Hex is a bloody good game, she's not a fan, so I probably won't get to play it very often. So
it is very much centered around attack, or at least plan to attack, and then I have to attack that one before that one can attack this one. And then, oh my God, but that one's now netted that one. I hate this game.
Yes.
And then you finish it and go, I love this game.
Yeah.
I really do.
I realised what I did wrong. I could do it better next time.
Let's play again. No, you beat me. Let's play again.
I've got to admit, it's up for pre-order on the portalgames.pl website. And my finger is hovering above that buy now button. It really is.
Ooh, there you go. I'll let you two buy it so I don't have to.
I like it.
That's a fair deal.
That's the John Cage approach to board game acquisition.
Exactly, yeah. See, Andy in sensible shocker here.
It is quite a shock, actually.
Because I've bought everything else
What I can't work out
recently.
about this game is, according to all the... I haven't looked at the rule book or anything, but according to all the little pictures that you can see of this game, they've got little stackers.
Yeah, I like the look of
Little
that.
plastic things, and it's like that means that units are going to be able to stack in this game, which Neuroshima Hex couldn't. So I'm
It's not legally anyway.
intrigued.
Cheat!
What's this thing with all the men on it?
Right, yes. So, Men at Work is the game that you're currently staring at.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw that headline on the notes.
It's interesting because when I saw that picture, the first thing that popped into my head is everything is awesome.
Oh, of course, yes, the
Everything's
Lego
cool
movie.
when you're part
All's
of a
well.
team. So, to explain to our listeners, there is a picture of what look like different coloured bits of wood that are sort of stacked at various angles, a bit like a really messy construction site. And placed on top of that, there is a bunch of wooden meeples with little yellow hats, hard hats, and lunch boxes and other bits and pieces stacked on top of them. So basically,
construction worker meeples, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, it's a dexterity game from Pretzel Games, and it's expected in Q4 of this year.
So Essen then.
Yes, I would expect so. That would make sense.
Basically, this is the point there. When anyone announces a game, it's like, so it's coming out of Essen. It's like the Portal game we just mentioned, like Monolith Arena. Release date, Essen.
Yeah.
When it work, release date, Essen.
Yeah. When's Essen? It doesn't matter. Just Essen. That reminds me
Well,
of, have either of you two seen the film Orgasmo?
No.
I've heard of it.
John, of all the people, of the two of you, I would have expected you to have seen it. It's Trey Parker and Matt Stone. It's the same people who did South Park and Team America and stuff. But it predates them. And it's about a couple of Mormon guys who get roped into making a porn film.
Maybe I have seen this. This sounds familiar, actually.
And one of his mates invents the Orgasmo ray and basically fires this ray at somebody and it gives them an orgasm on the spot. But anyway, they get through the film and essentially the main character, Trey essentially takes part as a actor. Doesn't take part in any of the sex scenes because he's a devout Mormon and that would be wrong. So they end up employing a stunt cock for any of the scenes. But
where is this story going, Andy? How's this connect to a board game?
It's one of the interviews, they're hiring somebody else, and so who are you? I am Sancho, and I'm Sancho. But that's all you need to know. I've lost you completely, haven't I?
Steve, what the is he talking about?
I'm not sure how to leave that in now.
It's just Essen. I am Sancho.
Right, I see, okay.
Right, okay.
So Azul's won yet another award. They were placed first in the 2018 Dutch Spielpress.
You can tell that you don't speak German, John, can't you?
Das is correct.
Dutch Spielpress. God, Sven's going to love you.
He always does. Anyway, they've been given an award based on votes by the gaming public. So this is yet another. I think they've won most board gaming awards in the world ever twice now.
It is pretty good. I don't know if it's worth that many awards, but it's a good game.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good game, but yeah, I'm just trying to think of all the other games which have got awards plastered on the front of them, and the one that really sticks out in my mind is Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride box is just covered in different awards it's got. Is Azul as much of a kind of a long-term game, or will it still be around in 10 years' time like Ticket to Ride will?
I don't know.
Good question.
My gut says it will, I think it's got this kind of
it's accessible
life to it. Yeah.
That's why I think if lots of people can get to it, then obviously it's going to get more coverage, whereas as good as Agra is, not quite as accessible to the gaming masses.
Depends on your taste, I suppose.
It does, but even I am happy to admit that it's probably a more limited market.
Speaking of Azul, have you seen the follow-up game? Or one of the follow-up games, because actually they're doing 2 follow-up games.
Oh, yes, I've seen one. Is this the one that's like bright pink?
Yeah, there's one that's a stained glass one, and there's this Reef, which is another one.
Ooh, I've not seen Reef.
So Reef does look quite nice. So it's a game in which players take on the role of the reef itself, alternating turns in which they have to carefully select the colours and patterns in which to grow and expand. And the more beautiful the reef, the more points you score. Which to me looked a little bit like number 9, and that you're stacking bits and pieces on top, and it's the combination of those that scores you more points, as I understand it.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I did see this at the weekend. I saw people playing this, but I didn't get a chance to play it myself. So, I can't really comment, but it does look very nice. The little stackable things are quite big, chunky bits of plastic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like what I'm trying to think of an equivalent size, about the size of a squeezy ketchup bottle lid.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Whilst playing, do you have to drink a sort of orangey passion fruit vodka beverage?
Like a Reef type alcoholic beverage.
There you go. Steve's got it. Do you not remember Reef when we were younger?
I remember downing Reef at uni.
There you go. That's it. I drank so much Reef.
There was alcoholic lilt, wasn't it, at the time?
It wasn't. It was. I think it was orange and passion fruit or something. It was basically fruit juice and vodka. One thing I did discover was that it doesn't go well with white wine. It curdles in one's stomach.
Interestingly, I can tell you that it does go well with homebrewed ginger beer.
Orange and ginger does go well together, to be fair.
Yeah, it was pretty dangerous in that concoction, but then my homebrewed ginger beer was pretty dangerous with anything.
God, it was, yes. I remember the last time I had your binger. I could see beforehand.
Yeah, binger gear. It was good stuff. Effective, I used to describe it.
Brilliant for cleaning brushes.
I can say, yeah. Good stuff is a matter of perspective, I think.
Indeed. After a glass of that, you had no perspective because your vision was reduced to 3 inches.
I'll be honest, it did depend on the batch. Some batches were undeniably just effective, and others were actually quite tasty and effective.
See, I only have had it when you were in your turbo binger phase.
Ah, yes.
Which was the time when you bought this turbo yeast because you couldn't wait a week for it to brew. You had to brew it overnight.
Bloody hell.
Alcatel 24-hour super turbo yeast.
Alcatel? Weren't they a telecoms company?
It was probably for like cleaning drains or something like that.
You poured this into a glass, and it was that cloudy and that many tiny bubbles in it. It looked like milk coming out of it. And ginger beer should not look like milk.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember brewing stuff once on holiday because we didn't have, we're cheap students at the time. And trying to get this stuff ready because we're there for like a week or something like that. So you need this stuff ready at the beginning of the holiday. So the first night, put it on. And the following day, we're sat there just playing board games, and you could just hear this like, I'm like, who's cooking bacon again? What? There's no one cooking. And then you look at the barrel, and like over the top of it, we just had cling film, and the cling film was domed upwards, and basically trying to levitate above the thing.
Awesome.
Look inside it, you could just see like it was like someone had just opened a bottle of champagne or something, and it was just frothing continually.
Awesome.
Yeah, like you say, it came out as fizzy milk.
Speaking of which, have you seen in the news today there was a winery that's lost 30,000 litres of Prosecco because one of their outside vats exploded?
Crikey.
I know, yes. Steve, you reminded me, actually, speaking of which, when you said, a proper ginger beer shouldn't look like milk, it reminds me of Red Dwarf, where Lister turns round. I'm not a connoisseur, but a truly great wine should not leave you with a faux moustache you can only remove with tapes.
Oh, dear. Anyway, so going back to Reef, if you do want to find out what it's like, you can pre-order it now, and it should arrive in October, although that date has apparently slipped by 2 months and counting, so
that's a hell of a slip.
Indeed. That's slipped further than our software.
That's on a constant downward slide, that is.
Fluid. I like to think of it as a fluid delivery date. Very agile.
It's more like an avalanche at times.
Yeah, that's right, because loads of software happens in a very short space of time. Right, quickly, let's move on.
Makes a lot of noise.
Moving quickly on.
Couple more Kickstarters to mention.
Yes. So, Ragusa from Braincrack Games.
Oh, that's not a Kickstarter. What am I on about?
I was going to say, what are you talking about, Shooter? Good grief, you are on it tonight.
So, Ragusa, another game that is now up for pre-order from Braincrack Games, is a game that transports players to the titular Renaissance city of Ragusa, now Dubrovnik, in the 15th century, where they work as powerful aristocrats trying to build the city and their fortunes.
So I played this at the UK Games Expo, where I'd like to point out that I beat Rory.
And he's never going to let that go.
Ever.
No. So this is, I think I mentioned it on the Expo podcast, but I'll briefly say it's quite an interesting game where you're placing little houses onto a board and they will activate resources kind of adjacent to them. So you can grab lots of different resources. As the game progresses, it gets more and more complex as you need more complex resources to build things. But you also get these little market tiles in the middle where you have to build. You've got lots of different options for scoring points, like building walls, trading in goods, making a little engine which takes basic goods up to like wine and jewelry and things like that. It's a fascinating little game, and I think Andy will love this.
It sounds excellent.
It's like a worker placement game, but your worker stays on the board kind of thing. So you're grabbing spots on the board, and you'll choose carefully what you do with those spots.
It sounds a little bit like Agra then, because Agra does something similar. Whilst it's a sort of worker placement, your workers stay on the board until they're booted off.
No, this is where it's different.
Oh, okay.
So you're actually building little houses and they stay on the board throughout the entire thing. So
Oh.
like little Monopoly houses.
Right,
So
okay.
I said it's kind of like a worker placement because you're picking a spot and getting the resources from it, but they stay there throughout the entire game. So the game ends when you run out of your little houses. But yes, really, really nice. Looks pretty. Proper Euro-y game, the most Euro-y of Euro games you'll get in a while.
And when is this out?
Soon.
We can pre-order it now.
That'll do. Right, I'll get on that tonight.
So I have to say, I think this is actually one that all
Excellent.
three of us might like, because as well as meshing worker placement, market manipulation, and hidden objectives, it can be quite complicated, but it still means that you only have to make one choice per turn. So I might actually be able to play this game as well.
So it's a bit like Scythe then, in that sense.
In that sense, because all you're doing is picking one spot to put a building. I will say, though, that as the game progresses, your options do extrapolate.
As they should.
So,
I would like to retract my previous statement then.
so the beginning of the game, it's like plonk, plonk, plonk. But as you're going through, I mean, let's just say, when we played this at the Expo, Rory had adopted the I need to stand up to think about this pose.
Ooh, wow.
I know it well.
Never managed to do that at a game yet. Clearly because I am superior. But, no,
Not thinking hard enough.
I've done it for Twilight Imperium, but that's because the board's too bloody big and I couldn't see the other side.
So one last news item is Heroes of Tenefyr, which is a co-op deck building game for 1 to 4 players with push your luck elements and a different approach to deck building. It looks sort of simple in some respects, but quite good fun, I think.
Didn't we cover this in Expo?
Yeah, again, this is we talked about this in the Expo episode because I played it at the Expo. It is quite a straightforward deck building game, but at the same time, it's push your luck. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get between you, get enough power to kill the monster in the dungeon you're in. And you've got to do that before you've run out of cards.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So you basically choose whether you want to keep drawing from the deck or not, and you don't know quite what you're going to get. But if you burn through too many cards, you're going to have to run out the dungeon, which means you don't get your rewards. It's a really nice little game. I don't know if they've altered it much since the Expo. I felt the game we played at the Expo was a little bit too long. Could have done with being like a third shorter for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But quite cool doing the whole kind of, no, I've got this, I've got a dragon, turn over the card. Oh, no, I haven't. Hang on, no, I've got this, I've got this. Boom. No. Come on. Yes, there we go.
wait, I've got this. Wait.
So they funded now. There's 20 days to go. So if you're interested in that action, now's the time to get on it. 3 weeks to go, basically.
So 2 after I edit this and release this episode.
Yes, good point.
I remember thinking this wasn't for me. It reminded me of something at the time, and I can't think what.
I know what you mean. It's got a bit of game vu to it, hasn't it?
Yes, I thought about it at the time, but I'm old and decrepit, and I've slept since then, and I can't remember what it was. Was it a bit like, was it Boss Monster? Kind of Boss Monster, but not quite.
Yeah, you said my description reminded you of Boss Monster.
Yeah.
I've not played that game, so I can't.
You haven't played Boss
say.
Monster? Oh, you need to play Boss Monster, man.
No. I've heard it's awful.
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, but a lot of people like Betrayal at House on the Hill, they can't be trusted.
No, true. Some people even like Talisman.
I know. They're just
Some
weird.
people are mad.
They are.
And that, my friends, is the end of the news.
Do-do-do-do.
And I just need to pan out now while I click the mouse and fiddle with the keyboard a little bit.
Shuffle your papers.
That's it.
They don't do that anymore, though. It's all on laptop now. They just kind of stare at a screen where they're clearly just looking at Facebook. Like.
Swipe left. Swipe
Yep.
left.
Yep. Or they're on Grindr, yeah, whatever.
So, what have you folks been playing?
Well,
Well, all kinds of things.
I think we should listen to Steve regale us about what he did in London, because he's given me a sense of foreshadowing, and I want to know what he's talking about.
Have I? Oh,
Yes.
right, okay.
Admittedly, I have the cream for it, so it's okay. A serious case of foreshadowing. Well, the doctor gave me the all clear. It's all right.
So, yes, this last weekend I visited Tabletop Gaming Live in the Alexandra Palace in London.
Yeah, that sounds a lot grander than it is.
No, it's a very grand building. It's a very lovely grand building, actually. I popped along for the day. I managed to get a cheap ticket on the train down to London because I booked far enough in advance, and I left at quite literally the crack of dawn. Got back into the Cotswolds just as the sun was setting, so that means I was at the house 12 hours.
Oof.
This was the very first convention by Tabletop Gaming Live, and you can tell by what was there they want this to be a big deal and want to go forward with this because I think they've already announced dates for next year's convention.
It's a good sign.
The aim was definitely to head for the style of conventions such as UK Games Expo. So they're going for a very UK Games Expo feel. So you had trades hall with loads of traders, you had seminars on, and you had a large open gaming area. And it did feel as if someone had gone, right, Expo does everything we want it to do, we're going to do exactly the same thing here. The weird thing was, this is obviously the first year this convention had taken place, and the Alexandra Palace is absolutely huge.
Okay.
So it felt a bit empty. Now, I've heard some people say that there were plenty of people playing games there and plenty of visitors, but they haven't released actual figures. But compared to Expo, it felt like there was no one there, which was a bit weird.
Do you think they've kind of gone too big to start with?
I think they'd aimed a bit too high to begin with. So whereas like we've mentioned Airecon and we've mentioned City of Games earlier in the episode, okay, there's different types of conventions because they're more of the playing conventions, whereas Tabletop Gaming Live was going for the kind of the whole package kind of thing. But with Airecon and City of Games, they started small and they filled and they grew a bit bigger and they filled and they grew a bit bigger. You got the feeling Tabletop Gaming Live were like, we're going big right from the get-go. And they didn't feel like they'd gotten the kind of visitor numbers they were expecting, I don't think. But we'll wait and see. Now, one of the things was it was quite well spaced out. Because the venue is very big, it did mean that all the trade stalls were well spaced out, which could have been one of the reasons why it looked a little bit small. There was a massive amount of open gaming area, and I mean absolutely huge, which saw next to no one in it, which was a bit weird as well.
To be fair, if you're going to go one way or the other, it's much better to have too much space. As long as the convention can support it.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
much better to have too much space and be able to spread out than be like crammed in. So on one of the expos I went to was just like you could barely move. There wasn't you would really struggle to actually find somewhere to play a game, and that's awful.
Yeah, I saw a discussion about this actually. There was somebody on the gaming chat group made the comment that if there's not enough gaming space, people complain. Now there's too much, and people are complaining. It's like you can't win.
Yeah. You can't win. I mean, the good thing was loads of space there, and so there was no trouble in getting a thing. It did mean that there's perhaps lacking in a little bit of atmosphere because of that.
Yeah, that's the one downside.
Yeah, but yeah, I think there's chance of it being. Well, they've already said it's going to be there next year. I think it's worth checking out next year. I spoke to a couple of exhibitors. I'm not going to name any names, but a few of them did seem very down on it. They did seem very much a case of, well, we were hoping for 2 or 3 times this many customers here.
Oh, wow, okay.
But they did see the potential because one of the publishers who had a stand there said it is a month before Essen, and about a month or so, just a little over a month after, no, it's about 2 months, sorry, after Gen Con. So basically, they could potentially use this as an Essen preview event. You know, Essen's the big show. We bring some games along to show off at Tabletop Gaming Live, and it helps build the buzz in anticipation for Essen, where they can sell them.
Alternatively, I'll put my cynic hat on, because, I never do that.
That's right, cynical Andy.
Yes. A ray of sunshine in everyone's life, that's me. Alternatively...
I mean...
Hey, the sun always shines in space, or you can't breathe, and everyone dies.
Get your point out. Get on with it.
You could say that because it's so close to Essen and so close to Gen Con that people just go, nah, I'm committed to one or both of the others. I'll not go to tabletop because it's too small.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that kind of thinking. But let's put it this way: to go to Essen, I budgeted this year would probably cost at least £500. It cost me £15 to get a train to London, and about £12 to get in.
Good answer.
Yeah.
So, and I could get there and back in a day. I guess it was a bit of a long day. Because one of the problems I had is Alexandra Palace is not actually that close to a lot of the central things. It's in Zone 3, and it took me an hour to get from London Paddington to Alexandra Palace.
See, that's the thing. It's a big complaint a lot of people have said. It's just, to stay in London is obviously cripplingly expensive. If you're going for the day, probably not so bad, but to stay overnight, find accommodation, get down there, especially if you don't live within, an hour and a half of London, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. Because once you're in London, as you say, it takes an hour to get anywhere else.
Although, at least if you're getting the train down there, you could spend the time on the train playing board games.
I thought you were going to say drinking beer, but yeah, that too.
That's the same thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh, somebody said that. Who was that? Somebody said on one of the gaming groups on Facebook actually the other day. They said, "Is it just us, or are we the only people who drink beer with board games? Because everyone else seems to have like soft drinks." And I said, "I'm pretty sure. Well, us at Polyhedron Collider, I'm pretty sure it's mandatory to drink beer with games."
We're definitely nudging that statistic up.
Oh, definitely, yes. If you don't have beer, you're considered weird.
We're putting the tail on the bell curve. So there was also some other weird things about this convention. I've got to get some of these off my chest.
Oh, here we go.
Like, I walked into the convention hall, and there's a massive poster saying, photography and video taking, recording is forbidden. I'm like,
Das ist
what?
verboten!
It's like, do not take photographs. Well, I can't remember the exact wording now, but something along the lines of, do not take photographs without the express permission of exhibitors. I thought, like,
you're exhibiting.
What an absolute load of twang. Yeah.
In public.
Well, of course, I completely ignored this and just took loads of photographs. And there's a point when I played a demo game which we'd booked in, so there's actually 4 of us, 4 different people from the media, and I got a photograph of everyone taking a photograph of the board game.
The thing is, you're going to have that because a lot of people there, like you, will have been representing various media outlets. So they'd go along, and obviously the exhibitors would want their wares showed off in various platforms. So surely photographing would be encouraged.
Because even people who aren't media people, everyone, you share them on Facebook groups, on Twitter and Instagram. I found that really weird. The other one was, and I couldn't really work out why I found this, but someone explained it to me at the time. The map, which showed where all the stalls were, so the plan of the building, which shows you where all the open gaming space and that, was behind a registration wall.
That's helpful.
So
nice.
So you had to register for a website to get access to the map. I was like, well, because UK Games Expo just puts it on the website as soon as it's ready.
Were they CDGP or no DGP? Well, that what's that fucking DGPR, whatever the hell it is? CDPR. Online.
CDPR.
That's it. Are they compliant with that? Taking your email address and all that sort of jazz. Did you ask where they store your information?
I didn't, because I didn't have my information, so it didn't matter because I didn't register for it.
Did they take your photograph?
I didn't get a map. Oh, I don't know.
Well, they weren't allowed.
They're not allowed
that stuff.
Yeah,
But as I was talking to one of the exhibitors there, board gamers, what they do, they get their map for Expo or Gen Con or Essen or something, and they get a pen and they go, right, I'm going here first, I'm going here second, I'm going here third, I'll have lunch here, and I found that it sounded like some of the people who actually organised this event did not know what they were organising for.
Of course not. They're sales and marketing people. They haven't got a clue what they're doing. They don't live in the real world. Their world involves biros and felt tip pens.
It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen next year. It'll be interesting to see what the prices were, because I know a few people complained about the ticket price to get in. I didn't think it was unreasonable. I know a few of the exhibitors complained about the price of floor space. But we'll see what happens next year. I think this could be a potentially great convention, especially, as we said, if all the European publishers get on board and start bringing all their pre-Essen stuff, so we don't have to hike it all the way to Essen to see all the great stuff.
That's a good shout, yeah.
And as I said, Asmodee had a massive turnout there, actually. So there was loads of games on the Asmodee stand. But, again, I've got another bloody rant to have, and it's the same rant I have with Asmodee at Expo. Bloody murder to demo one of their games.
Yeah. There's no quick ones.
At the Expo, we tried to play Mountains of Madness with Cocodrillo.
Oh, yes.
And we couldn't find anyone to teach us the game. The game was set up, but there was no one around to teach it as all. And when we found someone, we said, can someone teach us how to play this?
No.
And the poor lad kind of looked at us and went, I don't know who knows the rules to that.
That's helpful.
And then you look around and you see other tables and you see people poring over rule books. And it's like, you shouldn't be poring over a rule book at a demo stand.
They need a Grogan. That's what they need.
They do.
Well, they do need. Everyone needs a Grogan, though, don't they?
Ding! That's 48 episodes we mentioned him.
But the other thing is, and I'll mention this a little bit later as well. When we played Twati Hadouken?
Yes. I remember it well.
Teotihuacan. And we got a third of the way through the game and we said,
done.
We've done.
Yeah. I know where this is
going.
We
love the game. We're probably going to buy it.
Probably, he says. I pre-ordered it the same day.
And one of the problems that, again, they had, with, especially on the Asmodee games, was they were allowing people to run completely through a game. So when the show's open from 9 till 6 and people are spending 3 hours playing one of the games rather than somebody going, right, you can play a shortened game to get the mechanics, it meant there was a lot of new games out that were available to play there which were not available anywhere else that you couldn't get onto because someone was playing it basically all day, which was really frustrating, especially when Tabletop Gaming Live themselves were advertising it as get to play the new games before anyone else in the UK.
Yeah.
Which basically was what it was get to look at the new games before anyone else in the UK.
What to start?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what I did play.
Good idea.
Oh, God, yeah, we haven't got that far yet. Christ.
Yeah.
And they say I can
We're
go
an
on
hour
a bit.
into the podcast. So, the first game I played was Keyforge.
Cool.
Which is the procedurally generated card game that we've talked about in the last 2 episodes, actually. So we're now 3
for 3. Wow. FFG should pay us.
If only.
It's like a CCG or a LCG, so collectible card game or living card game, but you do not make decks in between. You will buy a deck, that deck will be pre-made, it'll be randomly made, and then you play with it. And if you like it, all well and good. If you think it's rubbish, then you've just wasted £10. So I played a demo of the game, and I could tell you a few things straight away. When we last spoke about this, there was some discussion about like what's stopping you from basically treating this like a trading card game and making your own decks. Well, the prototypes they had there, I don't even think they were prototypes. I think these were like late production copies, if that makes sense. So the last batch before they go in. Each deck has got its own name.
Yeah, okay.
And it looks a little bit like, if you can remember, like the band name generator that used to appear on Facebook, which has like 3 columns, and you pick something. I can remember. I don't know why, but I remember my band was the Screaming Monkey Sticks.
That's a great band name.
What, like Voluminous Dog Shit Taco or something like that?
Yeah. It's always 3 words, and this was the same. Like this was, I can look on my phone now and find it, but I'm not going. Let's just call it Screaming Monkey Sticks from now on. So it says on the bottom of every card, it says Screaming Monkey Sticks, and you turn over the back of the card, and on the back of the card is written Screaming Monkey Sticks. So each deck is going to be given this unique name, and you can see straight away that if 2 cards are their own deck, they're going to be mismatched straight away. Cheater! So each deck has got 3 different factions. I can't remember all the factions at all, but the deck I played had Martians, which is basically the Martians from Mars Attacks, more or less. Shadows, which is basically all thieves and assassins, and some name that I can't recall, which is basically ogres.
Wasn't it? There's 6 of them in total. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
I think they called them Archons or something like that.
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to gain basically this currency to forge these keys. So you're playing cards to try and get so straight away it's a bit unlike a lot of this kind of game, because usually you're trying to kill your opponent, whereas in this one you're just trying to collect resources.
Amber.
Yeah, Amber, that's the
Amber. Or Amber.
Amber. At the beginning of every round you have to choose which of those 3 factions you're going to play for the round, and you cannot use any card that isn't from that faction, which in itself is a fascinating tactical decision you've got to make right at the very beginning of the round.
That was one of the bits that really interested me about this game. Like, there was some of the other bits I thought was a bit, I can see it's like a novel idea, like the whole procedurally generated bit, but the tactics involved in, you have to pick one of them, then you can only use those for a bit. That sounds really cool.
It was really cool because it didn't twig until 2 or 3 rounds in when I'd laid out all these ogre monsters in front of me. And I was thinking in terms like Magic or Hearthstone or whatever. And so I had loads of Martian cards in my hand. I said, right, I'm going to play Martians. I'm going to play this, this, and this. Okay, and then I'm going to attack with all these ogres. And the bloke down and goes, you can't do that because you picked Martians.
Oh no!
So all these cards I've got out on the board can't do anything because I've picked the wrong faction. And it's something you're looking at cards going, well, I can either play the cards in my hand, which are really good and might do some good stuff, or play the cards I've got on the table, which can do some good stuff. And it was a really clever decision. It was a really cool decision-making thing there.
It reminded me that the way they did that, it reminds me a little bit of Ethnos, in that you'll pick a particular... It's kind of different because you're picking different types to collect, and what comes up is sort of shaping your decisions. But still, you probably end up with a choice between maybe 2 or 3 ways you can go. And once you've committed to one, it's not impossible to do a different one, but it is massively advantageous to go one way.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I can't just abandon this one because then I'm wasting all these resources. But similarly, it puts you down one path and you've got to pick one.
And the other thing about it is, I said unlike like Magic or Hearthstone or any of these other games, you're not attacking, although you can attack. So what you're doing is you can either attack with your monsters or you can basically harvest with them, which is get this Amber. Which again is a really interesting option. Do I just tap everything and get as many resources as I can, or do I try and kill my opposition's monsters to try and get rid of all their stuff? So in that regard, it was also really quite interesting. As for feel, it does feel different to, say, Magic, but I would say because everything is completely enclosed, there's no kind of instants or interrupts or anything like that. So you have your entire turn, your opponent has their entire turn, which I don't think either of you two have played Hearthstone, have you, on the PC? Or
I have played
laptops?
it, yeah.
No.
In fact, I think you gave me a copy of it. Amanda and I played it a couple of times.
So this Hearthstone is the Blizzard's digital trading card game. So it's basically a rip-off of Magic, basically, but it's really, really, really good. It felt like that. And some people are going to say, well, the rules of Hearthstone and the rules of Keyforge are completely different, and they are, but it has the same kind of feel because you have all the options in front of you, and it's entirely up to you what you do on your turn, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed this. I can't see Andy liking it. I can also already see the boredom and glazing over in his eyes over Skype. But I think I'm going to get the starter set and maybe 1 or 2 decks and see whether I'm still playing it like 6 months later. But I can't remember who was saying it now, but somebody reminded me one of the great things I love about this as well is because you will just be able to pick up a deck and play. I've got loads of card construction games. I've got Netrunner. I've got Doomtown. And I don't play them at the moment because I can't find time to build the deck.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I'll just be able to grab it and go. So we'll see what happens.
I think, the guys in the Secret Cabal had a very similar feeling for that. Like, because it's already picked for you. Yeah, okay, someone else is picking it for you, but someone's picked it for you.
I've been playing a bit of Netrunner again lately with Adam, and I've been struggling with that because Adam's obviously had time to tweak his deck, and I turn up and go, oh, but it gets to Wednesday, like, oh damn, I haven't looked at my Netrunner deck again. I need to change things out of that, and I haven't got time. Oh well.
Yeah, just get the excuses out now, Steve. Whatever.
Yeah. So, next game to talk about is a CGE game. So this, of course, was demoed by our good friend Mr. Paul Grogan.
Ah, excellent.
This is Trapwords. So it's another party-style game.
I was about to
CGE.
say, is this a lightweight party, fun, either dexterity or cocking about game that I'm probably going to hate?
This is a bit like Taboo.
No.
If you want to play Taboo. Wait for it. This is where it's really clever. But you choose the words your opponents can't say.
Ooh. Well, like the.
It's no, you can't use like the's and conjunctions or anything. It's set up theme wise. It's because it's called Trapwords because it's like a little dungeon. You're exploring a little dungeon. So what you have to do is you have to get all the answers right to get to the end of the dungeon and beat the monster. And each tile has got a little different number of trap words that can be used. So basically the difficulty varies as you play. But you'll get a word, and all you and your team will see it. And then what you'll do is you'll make a list of trap words, which are words the opposition can't say.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do the same to you. And then one person will take the word from the opposite team and try and describe the word, hopefully not falling into the trap.
Do they get to see what those trap words are?
No.
To try and avoid.
No. You do not see what the trap words are. So you've got to try and describe the one word you see, knowing there's going to be a whole list of words you can't say, but not knowing what those words are.
Ooh. So there's a bit of vindictiveness in there.
Oh, there's a lot of vindictiveness in there because what happens, right? The first time you play this, you pick obvious words. So, like, one of our first clue words was zebra. So we picked horse, stripe, black, and white.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was pretty obvious. So everyone kind of, somebody fell into the trap, oh my God, or somebody didn't fall into the trap. So the next round, it's like, well, we can't go for the obvious words because they're going to be trying to avoid the obvious words. So then you have to come up with sillier, more and more obtuse words that are going further and further away from what you originally started. And I can't think of the examples now, the trap words we got, but then what happens is you realise you're going too obtuse, so you have to put some of the more basic words back in. So there's this little kind of bluffing. It's like, well, are they trying to put obtuse words in that I'm not going to get, or are they going to put the basic words in? So what can I actually say? And then you get a word and you think, I've got to describe it, but in a way that no one is going to use a common word.
You end up with like bluff and double bluff and then anti-double bluff and then...
Yes! Exactly that, yeah. And of course you have that whole thing of trying to work out what your players know and what they would think. In the same way like code names, for instance.
It's almost a little bit like Mysterium with words. No, Dixit, sorry, not Mysterium.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Because you're trying to get someone to guess the thing, but you need to make it vague enough that they can't guess the thing straight away. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a nice little game, a nice little party game. I can see that going down well. I can see that working really well around Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, once somebody explains it to you, it's like, well, that's obvious. Why hasn't somebody made this before? But I think that's what CGE seems to be going for at the moment. Mm-hmm. These little party games where you kind of go, well, somebody should have made this 10 years ago, but they haven't.
Well, you say that, but the game I've just thought of is Decrypto, which I played a few weeks ago, actually, which is it sounds very similar. Not the same, the mechanics are very slightly different, but ultimately it's a party team game where there's sort of teams of 2 or 3 or more, where you have 4 words, but they're all behind. Do you remember when we played Nemesis? You get that sort of red infected thing that tells
the red film.
Yeah, it's got that in it, that you put a card in a little slot. There's 4 of these little cards with words on. So only you can see it, and you can turn them over and stuff, and it gives you different words. And the idea is that you've got to say a word or phrase to your teammates that describes one of the words in one of the 4 that you've got, and you've got to say it in order, but everyone else is listening. So you've got to try and say something that means something to them without using like in-jokes or anything, but is suitably cryptic that the opposing team can't latch onto it, because you've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and the opposing team then tries to guess what code essentially you're trying to convey. So the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 in whatever order it comes out, by latching onto these clues that you're giving. So it sounds a little similar to what you've just described there. Not the same, but similar.
Yeah,
it's quite good actually. Decrypto, actually, if you've never played it.
Actually, Decrypto. There was some people playing Decrypto at Tabletop Gaming Live, and it does look very pretty.
Yes, it is pretty. It's quite straightforward once you get your head around it, and we all enjoyed it. It's a really good game, really fun. One of the few party games I actually quite liked.
So there are some out there.
There are, you see, there's even card games out there I quite like. I mean, I've taken to Netrunner and Dominion, so it is possible.
So yeah, that was Trapwords by CGE. Again, I think this is coming out at Essen.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a nice little party game. So another game I actually managed to get to play, which is a game I tried to play at UK Games Expo but failed, was the Fallout Wasteland Warfare miniatures game.
I'm quite excited about this.
I'm surprised you haven't actually bought it yet, John.
I've come very close on 5 or 6 occasions.
Lucky seven, go for it. Click.
There was one particularly drunken night where I was like, it's only like 600 quid for everything.
Bargain!
But it's actually 670 or something like that.
God.
And then the rest of my brain just went, no, it's 600 or 700 quid. What's wrong with you?
All it takes, Steve, is 2 more beers. We'll get him slightly drunker.
See if we can get him to order it by the end of the podcast.
The little bad part of my brain was then like, oh yeah, what was I thinking? Jeez. The bit that stopped me, I think, was the same bit of my brain that knows that I have still got a small box of Aleph Infinity miniatures that haven't even been assembled, let alone played with.
Well,
so
that's an interesting thing you brought up, because this was what was going through my mind when I was playing it. So to give a very, very rough, like, kind of headline overview, this is halfway between... Sorry, no, not halfway between... This is the complexity, perhaps, of Infinity, but with the design ethos of X-Wing. So it's very much token-based and custom dice-based. So everything from movement to range to anything was a cardboard strip.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're all colour-coded. So orange was the shortest, black was the longest. In the same way that the movement dials are in X-Wing.
Yeah.
And so, you want to move your unit, that's how far you can move it. You can move it at this distance. All the attacks were done with bespoke dice of lots of different sides. So, 12-sided and 10-sided dice that all had different symbols on them at different things. So you'd know that, okay, the assault rifle had 2 black dice at short range and 1 black dice and 1 green dice at long range or something like that. So again, a little bit like Infinity, because Infinity had the short and long range, which had massive effects on your ability to shoot things. Yeah, and accuracy in that. It seemed simple because, as I said, it was just a case of, okay, you moved here. If you moved through a piece of scenery, then you just went 1 down on the range rulers, which was quite simple. So if you had to step over something, you move 1 down, that kind of thing. But then there was other points when the game just seemed to be very, very complex, and the guy who was demoing it, he was saying things, and I just had to kind of just nod vaguely at him. It's like
smile and wave, boys, smile and wave.
I was playing the Super Mutants, and he was playing. The other guy I was playing against had the Wastelander, so he had a couple of humans, a guy in Power Hour, and a dog, and I had like 1 Mega Mutant, 2 normal Super Mutants, and 1 of the Hounds. There was one bit when I charged him with the Hound, and then I charged him with someone else. And what he was explaining to me was like trying to work out like change in pre-decimal money. It's like, all right, so you've charged, so you convert 1 of your green dice into a black dice, but he'd also charged, so he manages to remove 1 of your red dice into a black dice. So your black dice then can convert into a red dice and a green dice, so roll them. And I'm like, okay, roll. Okay, so you got 1 hit, 1 crit, and a Nuka-Cola, so he can roll the green dice, the blue dice, and the red dice. Okay. And I'm like, did I kill him? No. Oh, Right, okay.
That sounds like the first time I ever played 40k at Games Workshop. Seriously? Well, I went in on like a Saturday afternoon. I was only like, I don't know, about 14 or something. And I went into the Games Workshop in Preston. And I'd never seen it before. I had no idea what it was. I just went in and just mooched about, ooh, pretty miniatures and all that sort of shit. And he says, do you want to play? Yeah, okay. And this was back in the days of Rogue Trader. With like 15 different rule books and all that sort of shit. And so I said, yeah, I'll play. Okay, you can be the I think it was the orcs, actually, and there's a dreadnought and stuff running around. And it says, right, you're going to attack here. If you move him there, just roll those dice. Okay. Can we move him there? No, you can't do that. Why not? Oh, he's too slow. Well, I want to move him there. No, you can't do that. God damn it. What about him there? No, you can't do that. Can I do anything? No, you just move him there. I don't want to. Roll these dice. Did we win? Yeah, okay, great, I'm winning. It's like I had no idea what I was doing at all.
Sounds like a bad demoer.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about this Wasteland Warfare game was, just like, say, X-Wing and Infinity, it had like tokens for stuff. You had activation tokens, you had damage tokens. You also had little things on the board. So it's scenario based. So in the scenario, what you had to do is the Wastelander had to hack a system, so had to go into several computers. Actually, not too dissimilar from the Batman demo we had a couple of years back at Expo.
Is that the one I beat you at, where I shot and shooting Catwoman in the face with a shotgun?
Yeah, that's the one.
Excellent. Yes, that was fun.
So basically, he had to hack computers, and then the mutants basically just had to find the right computer and smash it to little pieces.
Sounds
so
simple.
I failed that for some reason, and I can't work out why. But then there was little random items on the board as well. So there's little loot crates, some of which could be trapped, but some of them would give you extra weapons and stim packs and mentats and things like that. Mm-hmm. But there was all these tokens for like effects and things, which is expected in a modern war game. Now you have tokens, so you know who's blasted or who's wounded or whatever. But rather than being like the size of an XCOM token, which is probably about the size of a penny, when you use a hole punch and you empty it, and you end up with all the little holes that have been removed, these little tiny discs of paper. I'm not kidding. The tokens of this game are that size.
Oh God! So it's like almost when when you build dials in a game. And you put the little plastic sort of holder through the middle, and you've got 2 layers of cardboard. And the middle bit that comes
dial,
out.
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Like the hole from the polo.
That was the size of the token. And that token had artwork on it. Oh, like God. A little Pip-Boy, a little Vault-Tec man, or a Damage, or something like that. And I'm like going, I can barely bloody see
Old
that.
Man Steve is not suitable for this game. Let me just get me glasses on, young man. Oh, let me change me reading glasses. What's this? Straightens it up in front of you. Oh, it's a Pip-Boy. No, I don't want one of them. Give me another one.
Is it just that they expect you to have an awful lot of these things, so they need to be small, or have they just misjudged it?
I don't know. The guy who was demoing it said that when they did play testing of this, everyone complained that the previous tokens they had were too big, because they went for these little tiny tokens. And I'm like, which madman thought these were a good idea? And he opens up like your little fishing tackle box where you keep all your tokens in. I'm not, we use them for like keeping like board game components. He had one of these with his tokens in. I'm not kidding. This thing was like 40 compartments in it. All these little tokens, and I just kind of thought, okay, this is going to be mental. If that's how many tokens are in this game for all the different effects and items and statuses and that kind of thing, this might get complicated.
Might.
Yeah. So it's on a knife edge, this game, because at first it seems like it's really straightforward with the movement sticks and what have you. And we played a decent length game, and I had 4 miniatures to deal with. This isn't 40k where you're bringing out 200 orcs in a normal game. It's like Infinity is. It's a skirmish game. You're looking at low miniatures, but there seemed to be this disparity between what looked at first like the selling point, and then all of a sudden there was all this complexity in the background. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to see most of that complexity until you've played 2 or 3 games.
I guess the ultimate question is, does that make it a nice, interesting, good strategic kind of game, or does it just bog down something that could be a lot of fun?
It's a demo situation, so I, of course, didn't I haven't read the rules, so I don't know, but there was a little bit of bogged downness in the demo I had. Like, as I said, this guy explaining how the dice work during combat and things like that. I just felt, but as you said, Andy, you said that you had this familiar thing with 40k, but you probably ended up buying 40k, didn't you?
Eventually, yes. I mean, many years later.
After it streamlined. Yeah, fair enough. So I'm still intrigued with it. There's a part of me that still wants to get the starter set and give it another go, but not in a convention situation and kind of learn at my own pace, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'll go and buy it in a bit and we'll find out.
Hooray!
While we're on the subject of Fallout, though, I recently bought Fallout for the PC because I bought this stupidly powerful computer that just basically for streaming our Thursday night D&D sessions was my triggering excuse. So I thought, I really enjoyed playing Fallout 4 on the PlayStation, but it always irked me that I had to use that stupid controller.
Yes.
And it would be much better with a mouse and keyboard. Except it turns out it's not much better with a mouse and keyboard because for some stupid reason, Bethesda, in their wisdom, decided it'd be a great idea to prevent you from rebinding some of the most crucial commands. So some of the stuff that you get into a menu, rather than using the same back buttons in the same places, randomly you just have to press tab, escape, and enter at different times. It's it just makes no logical sense. There are things that go backwards and forwards that were really simple in the game. For some reason, they couldn't just add 3 or 4 different keybinds just to make that bit easier. It's driving me mad. Anyway, that's enough of that rant. It just massively frustrated me.
That's fair enough.
Well, I look forward to one of you buying that then.
So, yes, that was Fallout Wasteland Warfare. Has potential, but I think I need to play it again to work out whether it's going to actually be complicated or not. But could be interesting, especially if sometimes these things that are complicated, it ends up being good because of the complexity. Sometimes it ends up just overbearing. Mm-hmm. So the last game I played was a game which isn't out yet and is coming to Kickstarter very soon. And this is a game called Monumental.
Mm-hmm.
And this game is basically a cross between a deck builder and an area control game.
A what builder?
A deck builder.
Deck builder.
Sorry. Came out very different the first time you said it.
Are we in New Zealand? Do you build your dick?
So in this game, you have your deck. I'm going to try and purposely say deck now, aren't I?
Build your dick.
Your deck is what allows you to take actions.
Stop going on about it.
You have 3 resources available from this deck, which are basically military, construction, and science. So construction and science more or less just allow you to buy and upgrade stuff, whereas military allows you to move around the board. So this is an absolutely beautiful looking game. It's like a civilization building game. Ooh. You're trying to get victory points by building up your civilization and by controlling the board. And you've got 3 ages with 3 ages of technology, and as you advance through the game, you'll build more technology and build wonders. What's really clever is when you, rather than just getting a deck of cards in your hand that you play like you would with a normal deck builder, you put the cards out in a little 9x9 grid, and you choose 1 column to activate and 1 row to activate.
Okay.
So it basically gives you it gives you some options about what you do with the cards you've got. That allows you to then do things on the board, which means you might get more resources, which means it allows you to buy more cards, which then you can use science to bring the cards into play quicker. There's 4 different resources, military, science, construction, and culture. That's the word I'm looking for. And that allows you to buy other things which upgrade stuff. Now, if you look at pictures of this game, it looks really beautiful. And I got to admit, if I show Andy a picture of this game in play, I can imagine his Kickstarter finger would be twitching.
It's not a finger anymore, is it? It's just a nervous reaction. It's a whole hand smash. Order.
Basically, I've got a red button on my desk at this point. I just mash it about 3 times a month. All in.
3 times a day, surely.
Jesus, I have recently, God, I think the last month or so has been, well, maybe 2 months, has been busy on Kickstarter, let's put it that way.
I'm genuinely worried about you, Andy.
It's fine. A lot of them have been expansions, though, to be fair. So they've been $20. It's not been huge amounts of money.
It was just an ounce. It's fine.
Nervous twitch now. It's fine. It's all right. Sorry, Steve, you were going on. So it's pretty then.
It's all right. Yeah, it's very pretty. It's in beautiful miniatures. I mean, you've got miniatures to represent your leader and your troops.
Okay. Yeah. Man looks thing up on internet.
And I would say there's lots of really cool things you can do in your turn. There's lots of combos you can build. This little deck building idea, because your deck building is basically your civilization. And so you're building your capital city. That's what this 3x3 like grid represents. And there's a really clever way in which you're building that and activating that, and how you then use those abilities on the board.
Click, click.
And
He's ordered
seen
it.
some pictures.
Oh.
I like the tiles. The tiles are sort of oddly shaped.
Yeah, it's got that kind of squiggly edged hexagon tile, isn't it?
It looks like the middle of the weapon from Krull.
The fact that you've even watched Krull is telling, Mr. Cage. Its infamous reputation.
Krull is an excellent film.
No, it is not.
That is actually a film I want to rewatch. I thought about that film recently, and I want to watch it again.
I'm pretty sure I've got it on either Blu-ray or DVD, because I remember ordering it not so long ago.
Was that another drunken order?
Nothing drunken about that one.
Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, apparently.
You should get over yourself, Andy. It was a great film. High fantasy.
It was one of the biggest financial and commercial flops ever in filming history.
Was it?
Yes. It lost over $100 million.
What?
But it's still a great film. Who cares? You're not the financier, are you?
No. But generally speaking, films that lose money are usually not very good.
This must be one of those outliers again, then. It's funny how often I find myself on those tales.
Krull, Talisman, Munchkin.
That awful book about
the Children of Green now.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Oh, no, you're talking about Damon.
Oh, Damon, that book was awful.
Demon, however you pronounce it.
Oh.
Oh, well.
Anyway, so back to Monumental.
Enough of my unusual taste.
It's a modular board. We played it 4-player, which was maximum play counts. So there's lots of scenery, which allows you different strengths for taking over. Taking over the board felt a little bit like how Small World works, in that you needed you just needed to get to a certain number, so you had to spend that much military and you could take over that spot, basically. Okay. So the same way as Small World, you needed X amount of tokens, which is equal to the amount of tokens on there. This one's just a case of, top numbers, that's 5, I need 5 military to get there. And I thought we explained this game and we played it around, and I thought this game felt absolutely amazing. You know, lots of options, lots of things you could do, looked really pretty.
I sense a but.
Yeah.
But we got taught the game.
Shall retract my finger from the pre-order button at this point.
And we were 4 players. We had an hour and a half at the table, so of course you're going to lose a bit of time to being taught all the rules. But in an hour and a half, I had 2 goes.
Whoa.
Because now some of that's going to be, once you've learnt the rules, I reckon that's going to go quicker, but I don't know how much quicker. But the problem is all the turns are completely singular, if that makes sense. I can't think of the word I want to say. So I do everything I do on my turn. Yeah, I do everything I do on my turn. You do everything you do on your turn. You do everything your turn. Yeah. So there was nothing when somebody else is having the turn, there is nothing for you to do at all.
Ooh.
And in a 4-player game, there is nothing for you to do based in 3 players of his turns.
Can you plan?
Not really, because you can plan because you know what your 3x3 grid is, so you can see what resources you want to activate in the next round. But by the time it's come round to you, the board state will have probably changed drastically, and the cards you can purchase would have probably changed drastically as well. You can do a little bit of planning, but not all. It's all a game about combo, so it's all a game about going, right, I'm going to spend 3 military to move my troops there, which gives me the resources of that space, which is some construction, which allows me to buy this card to put on my deck, which is a military card, so I can then use my science that I've harvested to play that card, which then gives me 4 more military, so I can move those guys to there, which gets me that construction, or access to that market, which gives me that card. Oh, I've now got the culture, so I can now activate my culture cat token. Oh, that's given me 2 more construction, so I can buy this card. Oh, and I've got another military now, so I can move that token there.
I can tell you now, you never want to play this game with me.
No.
Because it would have been my turn, and that would have been that one game. I'd have been sat there trying to work out the optimum strategy for all of that time.
And I think I would have just gone, nah, go in the bar, see you later.
We played 9 Worlds a few weeks back, didn't we?
You say played, it was more endured, but yes.
Yeah. So there's an element of the problems we had with 9 Worlds were exactly that same kind of thing.
Right.
You couldn't do anything during your turn, and you had to wait for everyone else to come round. Now, I don't think either of you two have played Imperial Settlers.
No.
Don't think so, no.
No. So Imperial Settlers has similarities in that as the game goes on, you're getting more and more combinations. Now, I've only played Imperial Settlers 2-player, but the game does slow down quite drastically after 3 or 4 turns. Now, I know I put this in as a caveat because I thought Imperial Settlers was just a bit too slow because of all the combinations you could do, but I know it's a very popular game. You know, Portal are churning out an expansion for that every year. So a lot of people love that game, and it was kind of best game of the year it came out, which I can't remember what it was now. And I think if you go in with that mindset that you like Imperial Settlers and like that kind of combo building from that and don't mind the downtime, you'll be all right with Monumental. For me, I thought the downtime was a bit too much of a killer. It just... I think maybe when we played 4 players, maybe if you played 2 or maybe 3 players, it wouldn't feel as bad. But you know, it's that number of players between you and the next turn kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you're in your turn, it's great because you can do loads of exciting things. But when it's not, yeah.
Read the paper, smoke the pipe, go to the bar. Yeah, totally. And
play a game of Talisman.
Play a game of Talisman, yeah. Oh dear. Oh well. It is pretty though, looking at those pictures. You see, had you not given it a butt, I might have been interested, but no, I'm not. No, I don't like downtime like that.
You should have paused and then come back to it later in the episode. He'd have ordered it.
Should have done it in a separate episode.
Yeah.
Should have just left it there. Then the next episode go, that game was awful.
We wouldn't want to hurt the listeners.
I would have found you and killed
true.
you, Mr. Tudor.
You love him too much.
Well...
Also, we'd lose our credibility if we lost Steve.
We have credibility.
We'd have even less credibility.
Fair enough. Oh well, never mind. It does sound actually something that did occur to me as you were bleating on about all of these lovely card games and Fallout. That it seems that they're following the same pattern as Expo did this year. Lightweight,
How do you mean?
light, easy to play, accessible games. Apart from Fallout.
Now, this is the... Yeah, this was a bit of the problem. I avoided a lot of the lighter games that were there because I know they weren't what I was after. And as I said, Asmodee had a lot of their games which I really wanted to play on stands, and I just couldn't get to them because I said there was one copy of Reef, there was one copy of the Game of Thrones miniatures game, there was one copy of what was the one I saw that I really wanted to play. Gizmos. I wanted to try Gizmos, which just looks a lot like Potion Explosion.
Oh, right.
It's got little marbles coming down a runner. I really like Potion Explosion, so I wanted to try that, but there was one copy of it there. So there's a massive caveat with that. Those are the games I just managed to play. But I do think it is a thing of the British games developers, I think, that all those bigger games were not UK games, if that makes sense. So you're right, the UK publishers do still do a lot of these lighter card games or lighter, quicker games.
Oh well. I should be shopping abroad.
But that's a broad sweep. That's a broad sweep, I think. I think it's it is a bit of like tarnishing everyone with the same brush, that is kind of thing. So
that's not like us.
No.
We're more like a military strike, surgical in our. No,
Hopefully not an American military strike that hit the wrong target, allegedly.
No, not like that.
Good.
Well then, I've blathered on for far too long about Tabletop Gaming Live.
Jesus Christ, yes.
Oh my God, is he still talking?
Oh God, yeah, John. I mean, you haven't actually missed much, I don't know, what have you been doing for the last half hour? Because I've been watching porn.
I've been relaxing in this very comfortable chair.
Yes, excellent. It does look good. So comfortable you fell asleep.
It's happened.
So we shall draw this episode to a close. We will be back very, very soon. We're going to record
in about
another
an
episode
hour?
right now. But until then, which will probably be like a week after you got this, thank you very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. If you liked what you heard, give us a review. You can give us a review on iTunes, and I think you can give us a review on Stitcher now.
Stitcher?
They've got review
What's
capability.
Stitcher?
Ooh, yeah.
So
Podcast app, innit?
my wife Kaz was recommending us to a friend, and they subscribed based on her recommendation, and he was like, "Ooh, they've got 5 stars." So the more the merrier. Please do rate us; it improves us. If you can leave us some comments as to how we can do better, we're always interested in that.
Yes. Don't forget, you can talk to us on Twitter if you want to give us any of those suggestions. The 3 of us are at Polyhedron C. That's the main account. But we can get individually on. I'm at Wahothamadenga.
I'm at Sonic H.
And I'm at John_Cage.
We are also on lots of other places such as Facebook, Board Game Geek, Twitch, and YouTube. Or search for Polyhedron Collider. We shall be back very soon with more tabletop gaming goodness.
Indeed.
And badness.
Tatty bye.
Bye-bye.
Catch you later.